Hello and welcome to the Moyo show. This is episode 3. Time flies when you're having fun. Am I right, or am I not right at all? Anyway, things I have to do before we start. Pre-flight checklist. I actually have a pre-flight checklist now, like a proper pre-flight checklist. It's like actually on my screen and stuff. So I set my phone to do not disturb for an hour, and then we're not going to be disturbed. I have water. Look at that. And I've done my audio sync, and we've got some lighting, even though we had lighting last time. But also it should be a bit better this time if you're watching the video version of this podcast. If you're not, then sorry, but if you're watching the video, actually, if you're watching the audio version, congratulations, you're not seeing my face. But if you're watching the video version, then you're seeing a slightly better thing, I think, than last time. Last time, I was using a USB video capture card on my camera, and it was a little annoying, but it was more reliable than what I'm doing right now, because what I'm doing right now is just recording straight to the SD card, so who knows, there may actually not be video for this. I'm not going to re-record the video. I'm not going to re-record this whole podcast just because I don't have video, so if I lose the video, then that's, too bad, so sad. But I'm hoping that we don't. Cool. Well, let's get started. Basically, today's video is all about PC gaming. This is my love letter to PC gaming, and a bit of an educational... this is more of a first steps, sort of baby's first computer. But I don't want to say baby's first computer, so... Moyo's Guide to Computers for Dummies. Not that ignorance makes you dumb, but ignorance makes you ignorant. So, anyway, so yes, that's going to be the main focus of today's video. As usual, I always start off with a bit of a casual plug to something I've been watching recently. So, recently I watched an excellent video by Modern Vintage Gamer. Also known as MVG, henceforth to be known as MVG. He had a video called PlayStation 5 emulation on the PC is here. And he's a bit more... Basically, he dives into the recent advances that PS5 emulation has had, specifically Sharp Emu and Kaitai PS5. Now, he's doing that from the perspective of a developer. It's a bit more of a technical video, so probably not one for sort of first timers. So if you know you're not going to get much out of this because you already know quite a bit about PC gaming, go to that video. It's in the title cards. It'll be in the description. So yes, go to that video. Excellent video. Or go to other MVG videos. He has some amazing insights into sort of the history of consoles, DRM, which is a potential topic for a future video. See how I'm laying the breadcrumbs of things to do in the future. He does emulation and some niche technology stuff. He did one video, I think, on web TV. If you know nothing about web TV, then go into that video and learn. It's some really cool, weird stuff. Okay, so now that we've done the intro, let's have some water, and then we will get sort of into the topic. So, PC gaming. The reason I wanted to talk about PC gaming in this video, I think it's important to sort of get the most foundational stuff out of the way relatively early. And I think PC gaming is a very foundational part of my identity. I think it's a very foundational part of what it means to be a gamer. Like, it's one of the core pillars of gaming. So understanding PC gaming, even if you are a console gamer, just sort of understanding it as a potential place to go in the future, or just to understand it so you can talk to other people about it. Valuable little thing to know. So yeah, so I had a recent conversation. The thing that sparked this was I had a recent conversation with a co-worker, someone who, not necessarily in the same department as me, but someone who knew of me because I'm in IT, and basically came to me and was talking about wanting to get a gaming computer, wanting to get a proper PC for playing games. And he basically came to me and went, "Hey, I'm looking to getting into PC gaming." And I went, "Oh, cool. So what are you going to get?" And he went, "Oh yeah, no, I'm going to get this computer. It's like about $6,500. It's got a..." And he basically was like, "It's from Computer Lounge." And then he just sort of gave me the link for it, and I looked at it. And it was an RTX 5080 and a 9800 X3D with like 32 gigs of DDR5. And I looked at that and I said to him, "Oh, that's really cool. Have you ever had a PC for gaming before?" And basically his answer was he had I think he said he had a really weak laptop and he used that just for Fortnite. And he wanted to play Fortnite, but do it at a pro level. So to start, let's just start foundationally. PC gaming. The reason why PC gaming is so brilliant is because you're not buying the whole system. Well, at least you don't have to buy the whole system. Technically, sure, with consoles, there is a way you could theoretically piece stuff together, but you're ultimately, at the end of the day, you're building the exact same base model as what the people who made the machine would, aside from maybe changing how much storage you have, and that's about it. That's really all you can change on the console. Oh, and the storage medium. So not just how much, but what storage you have. So, I remember back on the PS4 putting a SSD into it so it would run far faster when loading games and stuff. But comparing that to PC, with PC, the first question, what's the best components? That's not the first question you should be asking yourself. The first question should always be, what games do you want to play? If the first question you're asking yourself is, what hardware do I need? Or what hardware do I want? More specifically, that second one, I'll come back on that later. But what hardware do I want? Then you're sort of starting at a really bad point. I think PC gaming is a thing that you should learn, which sucks. It kind of does. We are going down a route where soon you'll just be able to buy a console-like device for playing PC games, and then be able to play those PC games anywhere you want, and be able to play them basically with no downsides, other than you might be buying hardware that's not customizable. But for a lot of people, that's all you need. That's all you want out of a gaming machine, is to be able to go into it and come out the other side with a way to play games. That's the point of the medium. The point of the medium is to play the games, not to have the coolest hardware. So if you're going into it with that, what hardware do I want? That's cool, but you've already sort of failed at the first step. If you're coming into PC gaming new, to me, you sort of want to come into it learning, with an open mind to understand how the medium works first. And once you understand how the medium works, then you can make educated decisions over what you actually want to do next. If you come into it with the expectation of, well, I want that hardware, you're just basically taking one foot forward, you're taking the next foot and putting it in front of that other foot, and then you're trying to take another step forward, and you're just face planting. Sure, if you've got the money, go for it. All the power to you. But fundamentally, learn the basics. Now, what are the basics? The two most important things you need to learn are CPU and GPU. Yes, arguably RAM, storage, those things all matter, but they only matter to a certain point, such as compatibility and diminished returns. as in like returns on how much you're spending. If you're looking to get into PC gaming, I recommend find the games you want, then look at how certain hardware plays that game. Because again, the point of PC gaming is to play the game at the end of the day. You should really go after it with the thought of, what do I need to play what I want, not what do I want to play what I want. If you're doing a double want, you're going to waste a bunch of money on hardware you probably don't need and that you probably can't afford. Especially if you're young. If you're young and you're getting into PC gaming, the best thing you can learn about PC gaming is the concept of the ship of Theseus, which doesn't actually come from PC gaming. It comes from some philosophy, like probably Greek philosophy, but the concept of the ship of Theseus. It's one of the most fundamental concepts in PC gaming. It's not necessarily the same as the original philosophical question. It's more the value that having a ship of Theseus computer gives you. So, ship of Theseus. Let's say you have a boat, and this boat is made of wood. And let's say you have this boat for a long, long time, and whenever a piece of wood on that boat goes bad, let's say it rots or it breaks, you replace it. You replace it with a brand new piece of wood. And let's say over 20 years, 30 years, you replace every single piece of wood that was originally used in the creation of that boat. So the entire boat still looks the same, but every single piece of wood has been changed. Now the philosophical question is always, is it still the same boat? In PC gaming, the question is, if you have a computer and you upgrade every single part of it over 10 years, is it still the same computer? Now, the philosophical answer to me doesn't matter. The point of the ship of Theseus thought experiment to me is, you can take something that you got for really cheap and you can upgrade it. You can add to it. You can improve it better than it was before. So rather than thinking of it as replacing the components, you can think of it as upgrading the components. So let's say you start, like me, we'll start with my first proper gaming computer, which was an FX 8320 and a Radeon 470, RX 470. I think that's right. That computer has stayed with me the entire time. But if you looked at that computer then and my computer now, they don't look anything like each other. But yet I got to this current machine from that machine, and I did it via breadcrumbing. I got it piecemeal. I got it one piece at a time, slowly building up. Sure, there were some big jumps, like that model of CPU. I had to get a whole new generation of RAM, whole new generation of motherboard, whole new CPU. Or if you're doing the CPU upgrade, then whatever, you have to get a new CPU anyway. But the thing that it afforded me is that I just sold the old components. I got my new components, sold my old ones, and I got an upgrade. And whoever was below me, whoever was still behind on their generation of computer, they got a nice little upgrade. And over the years, when I went to an RTX 2060 Super, I then sold that to someone and got myself, I think, a 3070? It was either 3070 or 3060. But I got myself a nice little upgrade. And I just kept selling my previous cards. I kept selling my previous CPUs. Right now I'm on a 5800X3D. It's a very nice CPU. I didn't get here though by just going out and buying a 5800X3D. I got here by selling all my old stuff, saving, and then using the combination of both savings and the selling of previous components to build my current computer. It's a thing you can do with PC gaming that I don't think any other form of entertainment or even technology lets you. Like, there aren't so many other bits of technology that are so easily intercompatible as PC hardware. You really can just go out and get a CPU, and as long as it's the same socket and your motherboard's BIOS supports it, you're basically going to have a painless time. You put it in, put on your CPU cooler, and you're there. So the first things you should learn are CPU and GPU, because those are going to be your foundational ideas of how much performance you're going to get. As long as you've got like at least 16 gigs of RAM, as long as you've got fast enough storage and enough storage to store your games, you don't need much more than that. And sure, if you want to play at 4K 240 Hz, PC gaming lets you do that. But PC gaming also lets you play at 1080p 30. If you're coming from console, that's going to be very comfortable for you. Now, if you're coming from an older PC where you're playing much weaker games that you were getting 60 on, sure, it's going to suck going down to 30. But you can also just get hardware that does 60 1080p. And you can always lower your graphics settings. It's one of the... It's such a good idea that now that consoles do it, it means that even on consoles you can go, actually I don't want to play at 30 FPS for this game, I want to play at 60. And the game probably has a setting in the options menu so you can play at 60. Now PC gaming, you can do the same thing. You just go, actually running it at high graphics settings means that I only get 30 FPS. Okay, well I'll drop it down to medium. Oh, it's running at 60. And you can turn off things you don't like. Like for example, if you've ever played a console game that has motion blur and doesn't let you turn it off, welcome to PC gaming. Even if there isn't an option in the menu to turn it off, you can mod the game. And that's another amazing thing about PC gaming that people just, who come over from consoles, they might know of, but they've never experienced. And it's kind of magical in a way when you can basically go out there and get software that someone else has made for you, for your game, and you just put that software into the same folder as the game files, and then it just works. It really is just a kind of magic. Sorry, there's going to be a bit of a jump cut there for the video viewers. If you're already a viewer, don't worry, no, nothing has changed. Just go about your day. So especially with recent pricing that's sort of gone crazy on DRAM and graphics cards, getting secondhand is sort of one of the saving graces of PC gaming. You can sort of do whatever you want. You don't have to have the highest end graphics card. You don't have to have the highest end CPU. So long as the CPU and GPU you have, so long as the computer you have can play the games you want, that's all that matters. Another thing you will learn very quickly if you're getting into the world of PC gaming is the concept of diminishing returns. While yes, high-end graphics are very nice, most games are made for consoles. So long as your current computer matches the current consoles, well, then you can basically select the medium settings in almost any game, and you will get the same experience as a console player. The difference is you can also use other tools, like you can use DLSS, you can use a lower internal rendering, you can use lower graphics settings, you can turn off certain eye candy that you just don't notice, especially if you're not someone who is a particularly good pixel peeper. Now for me, I notice tiny graphical glitches. I notice those little tiny things that happen when you use lower end graphic settings. So for me, it does hurt my experience when I can see that sort of stuff, because it sort of takes me out of the game. So I very much went for the high end because I could notice stuff like that. But I guarantee that unless you are actually looking for it, 80% of you will never notice when there are little graphical glitches, because usually they happen so fast that your eye doesn't perceive them. You just don't notice them. Human vision is a really funny thing, because sometimes if it's something you you really are staring at, if you're really analyzing it, you can see all of the fine details. But if you're kind of looking in the center of the screen and you're sort of just darting your eyes over to when important things are happening, when lighting hits something in the game, you probably won't notice all the tricks that the developer is using to make it so that all the things off to the side are kind of a bit blurry. You just won't see that sort of stuff. I think we're also entering a really weird part of PC gaming history. Yeah, I think this era will be remembered as the time we used brute force rather than intelligence to get the most out of games, to get the most out of poorly written software. Yes, there are absolutely games that are coming out today that have amazing graphics and stellar performance, but compare that to AAA games even only like maybe 5-10 years ago. Games that are coming out right now do definitely feel like they are just using brute force tactics to improve rendering, to improve frame rates. And a thing that you'll learn when you're getting into PC gaming is that on PC, there is no limit to what you can play. You don't have to play the most recent stuff. If modern hardware isn't ready to play those games, then don't play those games. Unless it's something you really, really want to play. In my last episode, the episode where I talk about all my favorite games, most of them you can play on a easily 5-year-old machine. Possibly even a 10-year-old machine, some of them. Like for example, Antichamber, Portal 2 says, go into it with wanting to play games you've never played before. And I think you're going to have a much better time than going into it with the expectation of playing all of the latest and greatest games. If you want to do that, more power to you, you can absolutely do it. You might need a bit of a bigger budget, but yeah, you can do it. It's the beauty of PC gaming, you can do whatever you want. But I think you're going to have a better time, at least a lot of people are going to have a much better time by going into it and playing those games they never experienced. By playing those indie darlings that they never actually experienced themselves. Only experiencing vicariously through YouTube videos. Games like Hollow Knight, Silksong, The Binding of Isaac. Sure, you can play them on console, but there are other games as well, much older games like real-time strategy games, things like SimCity, things like Planet Coaster or Roller Coaster Tycoon, games that you probably didn't get to play on console. The gaming industry right now, it definitely feels like it's moving towards a sort of elitist, hyper-exclusive club that sort of has forgotten that in the world of PC gaming, there is sort of a grassroots ability to it. There's sort of an ability to start anywhere and still have an amazing time. Yes, the latest games are going to require more hardware. It's going to require better hardware. But if you go into it with the idea of, actually, I want to play the best. I want to play the most fun. I want to play the most iconic games. You come out of the other end of it with much more experience on what makes games so good, what makes an amazing game. Here's another game I didn't put on my list that you've probably seen, is Papers, Please. That game literally can run on a potato. Literally, get a potato, plug a screen into it, Papers, Please is probably pre-installed. I think there are some other key things to take away from PC gaming. The magic of the used market is, it's really nothing like any other gaming platform. The magic of the used market really is it's sort of a river. It sort of flows back down through the generations. So as you have people who have, the newest, brand new, most amazing hardware, when they sell their current hardware, it flows sort of downhill. It sort of comes back down through the pipeline. So if you're looking online, you will absolutely find hardware that only a few years ago would be completely out of your price range, but now is just a reasonable price because it's used. The people who are at the top of PC gaming components know that the hardware that they have isn't going to stay that price forever. They know that eventually that price comes down and down and down and down. Because usually if they're at that point, they've probably been at that point for a while. They've probably been at the forefront of PC gaming technology for quite a bit of time. So they know that when they sell their old hardware, a lot of the times they're getting like maybe 60%, 70% of what they paid. And yes, as you go down, sometimes you have people who will try and sell their old graphics cards for basically same as new. But the magic of used is there is no fixed price. It's whatever someone is willing to sell it for. And in the used market, patience is a virtue. Now, I'm an incredibly impatient person. When I try and sell something on a used market, when I try and buy something on a used market, I'm trying to do it as fast as possible. But for someone who has that ability to be patient, to bide their time, you can get some amazing deals, and all you have to do is just wait for them. They will come around. Someone will go, actually, this GPU, I sort of want to get rid of it. I only need a little bit more money, so I'm only going to sell it for this much. And you'll be able to find deals like that. You will absolutely be able to snipe deals like that. Hell, I've done it. I've absolutely bought games for like 20% of the original price because someone went, actually I don't want to play this, or actually I want it cheaper. When you get into PC gaming, sort of one of the first things you'll hear is that it's basically big Lego. It's basically electric Lego. And to an extent it's true. But you really should go into it with a bit more education, with a bit more learned experience, a bit more knowledge than just Lego. When you go into PC gaming, you're buying the components to fit together. You take the time to learn, because once you've learned it, you will be able to use it in the future. When new components come out, when you buy new components, you'll know what you have, you'll know what you can get on your upgrade path, and you'll be able to sort of plan for the future. You won't have to go and Google it every single time when you see a deal online. You'll be able to go, oh, I've got an AM4 chip, AM4 motherboard. Well, I know I can get that Ryzen 5800 X3D that's super cheap because it's a used sale, because I built my computer and I know what socket I support. So go into it with the thirst for learning, for the thirst for knowledge. And you'll come out of it with a deep understanding of your own hardware, because it's your hardware, and you'll come into a world of digital ownership that actually really respects you, that actually allows you to basically do whatever you want with your games. It is a massive culture shock for people who come over from consoles to PC gaming and realize that you can find ways to buy a game completely legally and actually own the files and actually move them onto different computers. And even the most basic things, like you can play games online without needing a subscription. What a crazy idea. Remember, Steam isn't your only place to shop. It's not like PlayStation, it's not like Xbox, it's not like Nintendo. When you want a game, it's not digital from only one store. Unless Tim Sweeney goes and buys the exclusive rights to it. I'm still pissed off about that with Alan Wake 2. But you can usually find the game on almost any platform, in almost any way. For example, if you want to buy an EA game, why are you buying an EA game? But if you want to buy an EA game, you go and get the key off of G2A, and you won't have to give them a dime. You won't give them a $1 due. You'll get the key, you put it into Steam, and then you got your game. Or buy it from Fumble. Hey, buy it from Humble via Fumble. You'll be able to find, even if Steam doesn't have a deal, you can find the same game on Humble You get your little bit of wallet credit every time you do it, and then you get to get a whole extra game after a couple of purchases. It really is a massive world out there for PC gaming. There is really no limit to how you get your games. Hell, you don't even have to buy games. You can play games for free. There's this amazing thing, it's called the internet, and you can literally just play games on the internet. Now, are they as good as downloaded actual software-based, like locally running games? Maybe not. But that doesn't mean that you can't have fun. It doesn't mean that there isn't a way to still enjoy the experience of playing a game in a non-traditional way. How the whole point of PC gaming is it's a sort of non-traditional way of playing games. The PC is not designed for games, and yet you can play games on it better than devices that are made for playing those games. Sorry, I'm sort of evangelizing now. This is a very rambly version of the show, and it's probably going to be a bit of a shorter episode. So next week, I'll come up with something that's a bit different. But this is very much sort of my complaints of the industry, and my complaints of PC gaming, but also my love of PC gaming and my hatred of certain parts of this industry. So yes, forgive me for my ramblings, but I think it's entertaining nonetheless. Now, if you're actually looking to get into PC gaming, how would I recommend you go about it? There are some amazing resources out there. You have amazing YouTube channels, both big channels that do sort of new components and sort of overviews, but also have older videos on older components, while also having lots of YouTube channels out there that are just basically benchmark channels. You know, channels that will post videos like RTX 780 versus RTX 980, like random GTX 980. Anyway, there are lots and lots of videos like that. It's almost uncanny the amount of videos you can come across by searching up two GPUs with a versus in between, and you're gonna find whatever game you want to play. Like, there's almost certainly someone who's done a test with those two components on that particular game. That's such a valuable resource. You should absolutely look into it and see what you can find for the components you're looking at. And remember, there are many ways to go about it, but find the game you want, figure out what your budget is, and work from there. Amazing tools that can help you stick to your budget are things like PC Part Picker, or use just an Excel spreadsheet or a Google Sheets spreadsheet and put together all of the components you find with all the prices and do a little sum at the end and go, is that above or below my budget? And once you've found components that sort of fit into your budget, see how does it play the game. And if it plays the game well, then you've succeeded. If it doesn't, then find ways to cut back. Find areas that you can afford to cut corners now and get a little bit more power today rather than waiting, so that you can just play the game that you want to play. So yeah, don't be discouraged by the history of PC gaming. There are so many games out there to play that run on dog shit hardware. You know, games I've always talked about before, like Portal 2 and Antichamber, run on basically anything. Even games like Euro Truck Simulator 2 run on, again, a very, very poor hardware, and you can still get a decent experience out of them. Classic Sims games, basically any game ever made by Bullfrog. There are so many great games out there. And don't be discouraged by non-traditional ways of playing. You can always play games online. You can always do streaming. You can always do emulation. Emulation is one of those things that I feel like a lot of people know of, but sort of have never really engaged with it. If you've got a decent computer, you can probably play old PlayStation 2 and 3 games on your computer. So for me, for example, I wanted to play the old Call of Duty World at War Final Fronts, which was a PS2 side port. Well, I'm going to call it a side port, but basically World of War was created for like PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360, and then another team created World at War Final Fronts, which went to PS2. Because PS2 had a massive install base, it made no sense to not make a copy of that game for PS2. So they did, and it was dog shit, but I really wanted to play it, and I was able to play it because emulation. I can just go and play that game now, and I don't even have to think about it. It's just there. It's just something I can now go do. Also, with PC gaming, there is no limit to how to play. If you, for example, have a motor disability where you struggle to use your hands, there are devices that can help you. If you want to experience, the most cutting edge technology, your VR is still best on PC. If you're looking to get into VR, Half-Life Alyx, play that. That's one of the best games ever made in VR, and truly makes you fully immersed into a video game. If there's one thing you take away from this, it's that if there's something you want to play, PC gaming is the way to do it. PC gaming has this amazing ability to let you play how you want to play. There are so many mods, there are so many ways to play old games, there are just endless opportunities to have fun. Don't go into it with the idea that you have to have the best. All you need to do is have fun. Sorry, that was a bit more of a ranty one than last week's. I think we'll do sort of episodes that are simultaneously sort of evergreen and personal, and sort of this sort of more rambly style, as well as more structured and prepared episodes that are sort of a bit more topical, and we'll have news episodes and things like that, but I want every week to sort of fit into one kind of style. I don't want every single episode to be the same thing, but I want every episode to feel like its own concept, its own thought process has gone into it, sort of separate from the other episodes, while sort of still bringing you into that same mindset of wanting to learn a new thing about gaming, or wanting to hear about the latest in games, whatever it is. I just don't want it to be the same every single week. Now, if you've stuck through this video and you are already well into PC gaming, what was the very first PC you ever built? What was the best second-hand deal you ever got? What was the best bargain you ever got on like a used GPU or CPU? Let me know. I'm interested in hearing how other people have also done in this industry and in the second-hand world, and I'm also interested in sort of hearing people flex about their computers. As I said, again, a bit of a slightly shorter one, I think, this week, because there's quite a bit more editing in this one because it's so rambly. So sorry about that. We might change that up again next week. But for now, that is me. As I mentioned, ways of getting games. Fumble.nz is my website. Still haven't done anything on the reviews, but I've added feature flags, so if that's something you care about. It only matters for me, but it's a cool little feature. So yes, there will be an About Me section coming soon where I'm going to add all those games that are on my best games of all time list, plus some others that I didn't mention probably. And yeah, the main point of Fumble is to get games from Humble with a better search interface than what Humble has. You can filter in so many different ways. It's kind of magic. it's my favorite magic. It's a really cool little project. So if you're interested, Fumble NZ, that is the best way to search Humble, in my humble opinion. Hey, only available in New Zealand, as I think I mentioned before. But yeah, if you're in New Zealand and you want to find some games that are going to give you some cash back when you buy them, or are on discount, and yeah, you've got some, say you've already bought something from Humble and you've got a certain amount of money sitting in your wallet because of the cash back, use Fumble and you can search for the price of whatever you want to play. You can sort of basically min-max best game for the amount of money you have in your wallet, basically. And as mentioned earlier, MVG, Modern Vintage Gamer, go check him out. Amazing videos, emulation, DRM consoles, niche technology, great videos. That will be in the description and in the little information card thing, wherever that goes these days. And as always, any of the music is Kevin MacLeod. Incompetech, you can find the credits down in the description for that, the attribution. His songs are amazing. 38 something dollars, I think, US dollars. You get all of his songs. So if you are someone who's looking to get into content creation and you need some music to sort of tie your project together, Incompetech, get it from Kevin MacLeod and support him. He's done some amazing. He's made some of the most iconic bits of music in human history, and the guy doesn't make a dime off of any of it. So, yeah, a really cool little thing you can do and support him. Alrighty, and I think that is everything. So, thank you very much for watching. Next week, I don't know, come back and you'll find out when I come up with something. I had an actual document, like a Word. I have a Word document open. How professional is that? But yes, next week we'll actually try and stick to it, because this was a first test and it turns out it sort of sucks. So yes, we'll do it properly next time. I promise. I don't promise. I promise nothing. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and ta-ra.